Right, to the money desk now. Business editor Devan Murugan is with us. Devan, so does the president's speech this evening have any effect on stocks and the market in general?
Yeah, well, the State of the Nation address, good afternoon, Masego, is not traditionally market moving, all right? A few reasons for that. We'll get into that in a moment. But often the rand is seen as a confidence indicator, and certainly that might move depending on the president's remarks this evening. But let's get clearer answers on that. I want to bring in market analyst David Shapiro. David, thanks indeed for talking to us. So we've got pensions. They invested in the stock market. In fact, some companies operating in South Africa where those pensions and those stocks lie, they're in a climate that's very challenging at the moment. I'm wondering if those shares really care about what President Ramaphosa says this evening.
Look, a lot of the businesses that are listed on the stock exchange do business outside of South Africa. So they're not really affected. Whether we look at Process and Naspers, British American Tobacco, AB InBev, all the mining companies, and they dominate or dictate the index. But below that, some of the small and medium companies going to the retailers, to the banks and so on, are certainly affected by what happens in this country. And Devan, we have an economic crisis at the moment. It's not a political crisis. It's something that I think is far more serious than the political issue, and that is the failure of Eskom, failure of two state-run organizations, the failure of Eskom and the failure of Transnet. And if you go through the numbers that have been released recently, if you go through the retailers, if you go through the miners, you'll understand in rand terms what the current crisis is costing us. And at the moment, it doesn't look like there's any solution to getting it better. So I think, if anything, what the world will be looking out for, certainly those investors, is some kind of definitive answer or plan to address these issues. Not talks, not papers, not sitting around a table, something really concrete that's going to ease what is a crisis that is growing and becoming crippling.
It's interesting you mentioned about what the companies are showing of late, certainly in their trading updates. I'll get to that in a moment. But just on a very sort of immediate level, the rand tends to give a better sort of indication whether foreign investors like the speech on almost an immediate level. On the day, right now, about a percentage point or half a percentage point stronger, David Shapiro. But I'm wondering whether or not we can still rely, come 7 o'clock this evening, 8 o'clock, for that rand to sort of give us some indication on whether international investors, found the speech favourable or not. Unlikely from the commentary we've been hearing and what you've said a few moments ago. What's your take?
I think a lot of things have been acting against the rand, not necessarily related to South Africa. There certainly is a bit of it. And if he comes out, if Ramaphosa comes out with some plan for Eskom, something that's concrete, as I said, or Transnet addressing the issues, addressing what's brought us down, yes, the rand will respond positively. At the moment, it's been dictated by what's happening to the dollar. And we know that Fed governors have been talking rates up, so the dollar's gone stronger, rand gone weaker. And also in emerging countries, we've had some big issues. Turkey, particularly, which is in the emerging index, and China is slowing down a little bit after the euphoria that we had at the turn of the year. So those two things have acted against us as well. But I think we're all hoping that tonight something does happen that will get the rand a little better and give a bit more hope to business in South Africa. And look, business is trying. I mean, They are really, really trying to negotiate their way through this. But we need a little bit of help.
Let's pick it up there, and just in reference to your earlier point, David. I mean, there's no denying that the mood in a corporate boardroom, certainly in the meetings, is one of gloom at the moment, right? The trading updates, ShopRite, Pick and Pay, all the way to the biggest miners, they're showing hundreds of millions being spent on combating these power cuts, and you can see it on this trading statement. Surely they'll be watching this speech very closely.
They will be. I think the whole country is. I think the only thing with the State of the Nation is that we've learned to have low expectations. And that's a sad thing about it, because so much has been said in the past which hasn't been delivered. I don't know whether it's Ramaphosa himself or the people that he surrounds himself with. So I think while we will, naturally, the media is going to cover it in great detail and all the promises will be listed, it's up to him and his cabinet and the people around him to actually start making sure that these things happen. But Devan, you know, what's interesting about the trading updates that have come is that it not only affects the trading of the companies, it's the customers who are, as Pick and Pay said yesterday, you know, they're not going to the shops because they're scared that their food will deteriorate, you know, without load shedding, with fridges turned down and so on. They can't get produce because the manufacturers are not making the goods. And so it goes. You hear the same from the mining companies who can't, like Sappi yesterday, they can't get their products to harbour. Have to be addressed.
And as I let you go, David Shapiro, look, I mean, we've got the budget in 2 weeks' time. And I think, you know, the point always comes up, what can Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana, whoever sits in that place through the years, can do about increasing sentiment? But this, I mean, it really is the cabinet headed by President Cyril Ramaphosa that does the real policy. Am I right? The finance minister comes up there and prioritizes funds based on the policy. So in a way, I mean, it's not the finance minister's job to say which money goes where. It's based on what comes out of the cabinet in terms of policy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's as boring as an accounting report. You know, if ever you've gone to a club and listened to the accountant or the treasurer, you know, that's what his job is. He's just to make sure that things do balance and that they're allocated to the right place. But I mean, that's all decided before. The big problem, and this came from Kieswetter, who's head of tax, said that the load shedding is going to bring down a lot of the collections. The miners are not mining. The miners can't get product. So that's also going to be something we're going to look for in the budget in the next couple of weeks ahead, what their forecast is. You know, already the Reserve Bank has brought down our growth rate to 0.3%, you know, from about 1.8, which wasn't high in the first place. So, you know, all I'm identifying are the issues that we're going to keep a very close eye on, and which at the moment are, you know, is shaping this very poor sentiment we're experiencing at the moment.